Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today I am doing a tool haul that I've been wanting to show for a while, but been cleaning up a lot of the items. So for today, I'm going to be starting back here in the unfinished part of my garage. Then I had some other items that'll be in the finished part of my garage because it was a pretty extensive tool haul, but not only extensive, but it was just some big items. As you can see here, I got this big belt sander. I got a big tap and die sets, two of them for that matter, very, very vintage, as well as a bundle of other goodies. So let me get into it. Alright, so the first item is this Craftsman bench grinder. You're probably tired of seeing me show you bench grinders, but I just cannot pass them up, and especially when they're in better condition than the previous time I purchased it. And as you can see here, look at the paint on it. It's just amazing. I think with a little compound and compound and a little elbow grease, these will look nothing more than brand new. So let's take a quick look at the year and date. So this one is slightly newer than some of the other ones I got, but September 3rd, 1968, and just look at the condition of this. Everything is just superb on this. It'll clean up like a dream. Not one bit of rust, not even on the little nuts there. As you can see, this person took great pride in it as they engraved their name, and you can see the badge on this is just fantastic. Looks like a little custom plate here to do some sharpening and grinding that was attached there. So like I said, for $40 in this shape, I just couldn't pass it up. Then I came across this baby. Is she beautiful or what? This is a 42-inch belt sander, as you can see there, the 42 on top. It was not in this condition. What I did do is clean it all apart. It took the dust covers off here that covers the belt and gave this a really good going through. That being said, it was in this condition, just covered in a lot of sawdust in every nook and cranny, oiled up the bearings, and it looks like a brand new machine. Now, when I went to this estate sale, there was a guy there in front of me on the line who I've, came across in the past, and he's very territorial. He gets aggressive with items, he goes hard, and I guess he does it for a living, and I do this more for a hobby. So, I don't really make a big deal about it, but he usually ends up with some of the better items, and I kind of just let him do his thing. But I nailed this one that day, and he was not happy when he saw the amount of stuff I got and that I negotiated a pretty good price. It was almost like he was a sore loser, which made finding these items that much sweeter. And just giving you a side profile here of it. Now, this model was made for a long time, from what I can tell. I found some stuff online that these things go back to the 60s, and who knows, maybe even earlier. My guess isn't, just based on this is probably from the 80s, but I'm not 100% sure. Just look how nice it is. Now, I did blow out the motor, vacuum it, clean it, oil it, had to tighten this up. This had a lot of play in it and wiggle, so I was able to, just general maintenance was all this thing really took. And what I used to just really give this a nice cleaning is just this spray-on clear coat safe wax here that I have. And what this does, it's got a cleaner in it, because this had like it was just like a dirt that was stuck on it. So what it did was it took the dirt off, as well as left a nice little slick finish on it, wax. So as you grind stuff or things get on it from sawdust or metal shavings, it'll just wipe right off. And here's a quick back profile of this. It's just a 1/3 horsepower motor on it, which is plenty of horsepower. But look at this, I guess it was like an accessory lamp that was added to it. How cool is that? Sears and Roebuck, and it's got this really neat lamp on it. And I'll show you the front profile when I spin it around, but I thought that was really cool. The guy actually said to me, are you going to take the lamp with it as well? And I said, of course I am. And that kind of pissed him off as well. And I took the cover off of this lamp just so you could kind of see it, and I polished that up as well with some of that wax, and it cleaned up like a dream, as it had that cover on it. It was like a heat protector cover, and I guess that was for, these old bulbs would get hot nowadays with LEDs that won't really be needed, but I guess it'll protect it from getting dented up and whatnot. But based on that Craftsman logo, My guess is this is definitely from the 70s and or 80s when this was, you know, put on this unit. All right, and I put the cover back on and I flipped it on and it only gets better. Look how nice that is. A great quality Levitron light that is attached to it that can bend in any position. And it actually is a great addition to the workshop because not only will it light up my belt sander, I could point it on my mini lathe over here as well as I'm working because it's just a great bendable light. As you can see there, I also got some additional 42-inch belts that go with it that are brand new. I do have a bunch of extra 42-inch belts up there, as I have other 42-inch belt sanders, this one being one of them, as well as this little cheaper Delta Rockwell. I believe it's a Rockwell, very similar to the cheaper Delta ones that were made. But there is no comparison to this one. This one is like almost way, I would almost classify it as an industrial type machine, as it is just a super heavy duty, well built. It's got, you know, it's really great. Could get the angles on it. From a quality standpoint, this thing is way different than the other two that are more, I would consider, homeowner type belt sanders. And the other thing I noticed is, like, you could run it like this, or you could bend this down and you could run it off of the 3. Not really bend that. You could run it off the 3. Let me get this idler pulley out of there, or arm, whatever you want to call that. But you could run it this way, so you'd have less gap in here, and it would be, you know, used in different fashions. So you could use it like this, is what it looks like, or you could just kind of remove it from there, and you'll have more play in here, and you'll have more surface area as well. All right, let me give it a quick run for you to show you what she sounds like. Sounds really good. And then here what I did is I just adjusted it with the 3 wheels so you could see what it sounds like. And to me, I feel like it runs a little quicker. Let me take a look. Not sure about that, but it might run a little faster when you have it with the 3 wheels attached versus just running it off the upper and lower. All right, so 2 really nice quality old school heavy duty finds here for 80 bucks, 40 bucks a pop. Now let's go into the back of the garage and I'll show you what else. All right, so I'm showing you these items in the order I got them. So once I secured those 2 awesome machines, I said, let me take a look around this basement, as there was a lot of little cool stuff. And I said, what is going to be the item I bundle these things in? And I came across this pretty old, cool Kennedy toolbox. Definitely got some dings and dents, and I think with a little bit of oil I could probably get that latch to work, but I liked it. And look, it's got the Kennedy, oh, you can't see it there, it's got the Kennedy logo on it up there. Bighorn line they call it, and it's out of Ohio, as all their other products. So with that logo, my guess is probably from the 50s or the 60s, and I bundled a lot of great items in. And the first item I pulled out here are these Blundell Prescott England, and these are needle files, and they are in great shape. I felt the teeth on them, and there is a lot of life on these, and from what I could tell, this is a really good score. These are high quality needle files. I don't know if they're still making these anymore. I couldn't find a lot on them, but I want to say that these go for a very pretty penny. Probably, I would guess I could get $50+ plus for these, but I would never sell these because these come in great handy. I have a great set of Nicholson needle files that is probably 40, 50 years old that are starting to get worn out. So this was just an absolute score, as I got 2 really nice sets of needle files. Now this next item, I didn't know what the heck it was. So I'm not sure what it is. It says Mascot 12 round files, but it does say made in West Germany, so I figured it had to be pretty good quality, and it's a bunch of these points. So I'm wondering if it's something that went into like a measuring type device or something like that for machining or something like that. So I'm not 100% sure what that is. And then here's just a couple of measuring tools that I grabbed and bundled in, as I thought that they felt like just good quality to me. I like when you could get these ones that really just lock in position. So these are just some, you know, for measuring diameter, caliper type things. These ones actually look like they were made in the USA. W.M. Johnson out of Newark. And once again, you know, it just seems like everything was working really well on these. And they'll clean up great on the fiber wheel. Here's another one. Let's see where these were made. P. Lowentraut, I don't know, manufacturing. Once again, Newark, New Jersey. And then look at this. Made in America. Normally it'll say USA, that one actually says America. So what I grabbed here were these X-Lite handles. I know people love these. You know, they're used for electronics and so forth. They probably had all the attachments that go into it. If I looked harder, and I probably should have. But what this one is an X-Lite 99-1. But this is a ratcheting one, which is pretty cool. And it's got, here you could adjust which way you want to go with it. So I might end up having to flip that one, as I have really not looking for those, as I'm not into those. And here's just a regular handle with the attachments to go in, just a nice acetate one. So probably listed 2 of those together on eBay, and who knows, get $30 or something like that for it. And then this item I came across, this is to dress a grinder. So as you know, I think I have a need, as I have a lot of grinders. I was hoping it had some sort of owner's mark, not owner's marks, but maker's marks that really showed that it was made in the USA, but I couldn't find anything on them. So who knows, these could just be a cheap import. I was looking to find like a heavy duty one of these, and I'm still going to keep my eyes open, that was made in the USA. And then the last thing on this lid, which first of all, I really like this lid because I like the way that it only goes on half of the toolbox. Now I got a bunch of stuff in there, so it's not sitting right, but it's kind of cool. It'll slide on the top, and it fits in there great. Is this Craftsman, a nice vintage Craftsman, and in here I got a die in here, and you'll see below, I think I got a whole set of tap and dies Craftsman of this era. Oh, there's actually, I came across a really nice USA made small drill bit that was in the top of that lid. And what I'm going to start to do with these, because I'm coming across so many nice quality drill bits, is I came across this old holder a while back, and my goal is to start to complete another one of these. Now, I bought in sets over the years, but every time I get a really nice quality sharp drill bit, I'm going to start putting them in here, and I bet you before I know it, I'll have a nice, you know, complete set. Let's pull some items out here. Some nice branding on this DuPont car wax. Love it when it has some pricing on it, right? Sold in the hardware store for $1.95 at some point. Hopefully, you know, when you open it up, it still smells real good. Some socket sets. Got real excited. Thought it might be an SK socket set. But then I opened it up and I said, all right, it's not an SK, but it looks like a nice complete set of some USA made vintage tools. But I don't think it is. I don't know. It says here Oakland, California, but it doesn't look like they are made in the USA. It's a nice looking ratchet. Got some decent knurling on it. You know, kind of coarse, but works fine. You know, nice roll stamping. But nothing on it that says USA. You know, even the, you know, the sockets seem like they're really well made. Thorson. But I don't see any USA on them. So my guess is they probably were made in Japan. They weren't cheap at $12.29, or maybe they just never stamped them. There was a USA. This was a SK 7/8 socket in there, so who knows? And then just some miscellaneous other stuff. Now this next socket set, definitely made in the USA. You've seen a lot of these over the years. I mean, I love on the inside. You can really see that nice crinkled paint on it. And this looks like it's got all the original nice V-Series sockets in it, and it seems to be complete from the standpoint of sockets, although no ratchet in it. It does got the original extensions in it from that era, as they usually just had that rough finish on them, and a couple of other miscellaneous old V-Series type stuff, which I think is great. I love these. when it, you know, because just a piece of nostalgic Craftsman, right? And then look at this, snap-on, nice 7/16 socket. So that was a, you know, a good little find. And then just, I was curious about this. Just a little adapter, right? 1/4 inch to 3/8, but it looks like they grinded it down for whatever reason so it could go into the socket. And I almost feel like it's, you could put this in a socket and then use a wrench on it the way they did it. So I'm not sure why they grinded it down, but that could be a use for it. And then just some other really nice miscellaneous, definitely older Craftsman adapters and so. All right, next up, it looks like I was saying earlier, a complete set of tap and dies for this era Craftsman. So it probably came in some sort of case and they lost the case, but when I looked through it, it looks like it's got all the original nice old Craftsman dies as well as all of the old Craftsman taps. It seems to be pretty much a complete set. So this will be great. I'll hold on to this and I could use this as a filler into other sets if I break any or I come across a set that's missing any. And these aren't cheap. These go for good money. You just don't see tap and die sets made in the USA anymore. And the ones that Irwin still makes are rebranded for like all the tool truck companies, and they cost a fortune. All right, next up is what I think is called a draw plane. And it says Sears on it. Obviously, it wasn't cheap if the guy put his name in it. It was something he took pride in. Measures 15 inches across, so it's not small. It's got a good size. And the blade is 10 inches across, and it's still got a really nice edge on it. It says Sears on it, but it does not say USA. My guess is it probably was made in the USA, but I don't know. It's just really well made. The handles are good, and I'm sure that was a Sears tag at some point. So really good find. This next item, I knew exactly what it was when I came across it, but I wasn't exactly 100% sure how to use it, meaning like how it exactly worked. You know, Scoutcrafter's been doing all those videos lately on vintage drills and attachments, and that's essentially what this was. This was an attachment that went on a drill, because drills only used to be one speed. So this would reduce the speed so that you could use like a head on this for a slot or a Phillips screw and drive it into the wall without going a million miles an hour and splitting it. But what I didn't realize is that I had to do a little bit of homework on these. Is I thought this was kind of just like a chuck that you could use any one of those type of bits in, but you can't. It's got to be one of those ones that looks like from like a Yankee screwdriver. It uses a specific type of bit for this, so I think this is kind of useless. But once again, this guy took real nice pride in his stuff that he owned. All right, next item in there is this nice Jacobs chuck. This is a 1/2 inch chuck, and what this is for is one of those shopsmith type universal machines that were really popular probably 30 years ago. And this is what this was for. So really don't have a need for it, but who knows, maybe it'll come in handy as it could fit maybe on drill press or something like that. I'm not 100% sure if that's a taper in there or whatnot. So maybe I'll sell it on eBay. All right, this next item here is a great old vintage stone for a bench grinder, or in this case, this has got the attachment, and that's what I really like, that would go on a motor, and it's a 5/8 attachment. And look how beautiful. This is some vintage Craftsman USA attachment, and this is not cheap. I've tried to find one of these with the washers. You know, you're looking at a good $20 to $30 to try to find one like that. And one of the things I learned from one of the subscribers, John Paul, is he told me in one of my videos, he's like, whenever you come across those old stones, just for safety, put it in the oven. I think he said at a really low temperature, maybe like 200 or 250 for about an hour, and then just let it come to temperature for a while, and that'll allow all the glue and everything to kind of reset prior to using one of these old stones. So I thought that was just a great tip I wanted to share with everybody. And then here, just some snap rings. They come in handy. Grab that. This was just a lock that was in the toolbox, but it turns out it was beat up, as you can see here, but it works great. And from what I could tell, this eagle was actually somewhat of a desirable lock for collectors, but I don't think this one sits. It's, you know, it looks like somebody wailed on it to try it, but it held up. And then here's just some stock. Whenever I could find some aluminum stock, steel stock, metal, you know, square, round stock, I grab it, as it could come in handy for just kind of fixing things and making things. And then here is just a right angle drill attachment. I do not have one of these. I always kind of thought that they were neat, and there was a time I actually could have used one for a project, and I saw they had some of these at Home Depot this year, DeWalt and like the Christmas packs, and I said I was going to grab one, and I never did, as I haven't got over there yet, and I hadn't seen if they had them. So when I saw this, I just threw it into the bundle. This one doesn't look like it's the greatest of quality, but it is made in Taiwan. It's got a little bit of a chuck on it. And for light duty, it'll probably be just fine. When I'm in a pinch, I would take it off and just make sure it's nice and greased up in there. All right, so now let me take you over to my two final finds, which I think are super awesome as well. So look at the size of these tap and die kits or sets. The bottom one there, which I think is the neatest of the two, measures 32 inches, and then the one above it's about 30 inches. And taking a look at the top of this one, it says Greenfield Tap and Die Corporation. So let me show you what it looks like inside. So take a look at this. Now, a lot of the labels have been worn off, as you can see there, but those dies are in absolutely great shape, and all the dies are there. None of them are missing. It does look like I have a little bit of some work to do with getting some taps to complete this set. I'll have to figure out which ones I'm missing, but they're in great shape. And look at the size of that handle. I mean, that die handle is gotta be 26 inches long, and that tap handle is no slouch itself, at probably measuring about 15 inches. So I thought this was just an awesome set. And you know, so I grabbed it, threw it into the bundle, and then as I was looking, I found another one which is even neater, which is underneath. And this one, the branding on top as well is worn off, but you'll see the branding inside, and the labels are in fantastic shape. But just look at the joints on the corner. Look at the quality of this. And from what I could tell, this might be from like the early 1900s up to maybe 1920 or so. From what I got a preliminary, once again, just quick look on the internet on this. And look at this label. Is that not beautiful or what? Is that just fantastic? It's got 6 languages on it, which is just awesome, because, you know, there was a time we actually exported goods rather than just import. All right, and this is just a beautiful set. Now all the dies, you'll see this is a it's got a tray on top, so it's got, you know, 2 compartments on it, and this has got all the taps, and that tap handle measures 19 inches long. Unfortunately, I am missing a couple there, the smaller sizes, as you would expect. They probably got beat up in time. But how cool is this? I was reading in the instructions, it says, use plenty of lard oil. So well before the time of cutting oils and as such. And it tells you how to adjust the guides and use the guides. And just as a collector of tools, I just had to have these sets. I didn't know what he was going to want from, but I threw them into the bundle. So let me show you what's the second lower part of this looks like. It's just got those 2 nice little finger holes that you could lift, you know, get your fingers in and lift it out, and then it sits in this beautiful tray. And look at the size of that die handle. It's 30 inches long, and there are those dies, and they're all adjustable and replaced. It's just unbelievable, the quality of this. So I think, like I said, this is probably about 100 years old, and as a collector of tools, I just had to have them. Alright, so let's wrap this video up. Let me know what you think. I paid $180 for everything you see here. This beautiful kind of industrial belt sander, this great old vintage Craftsman bench grinder, amazing light attachment that goes on the belt sander, and not one beautiful old vintage tap and die set, but 2 of those. And all these sweet finds that I bundled in this toolbox, couple ratchet sets, really nice vintage Craftsman tap and die set, and a lot of other goodies. So let me know what you think about my $180 haul, if I got a good deal or whatnot, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.